gentleman from Texas for 5
Thank
minutes,
you, Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
Pfluger.
Secretary Mayorkas, good to see you. We have a letter that I know has been referenced from outgoing Border Patrol Chief Rodney Scott that basically claimed of great concern that he's witnessed any lack of meaningful effort to secure the southern border. And I'd like to ask you, this person was 29 years in the department, a nonpartisan actor, somebody that served 5 administrations with the only goal of securing this country. Is the border more secure under your leadership than when you started?
Congressman, the border is secure. We're executing our plan, and I've been very clear and unequivocal in that regard.
Mr. Secretary, the question is the border more secure now under your leadership?
Congressman, it is no less secure than it was previously.
Mr. Secretary, I want to look at something in his letter. Outgoing Border Patrol Chief Rodney Scott said that suspected terrorists are entering this country at a level we have never seen before. And I want to know, I know it's been asked, how many known or suspected terrorists have entered this country this year?
I respectfully disagree with Mr. Scott's assertion, and the information that you have requested, we'd be pleased to share with you in a classified context.
He said, in my professional assessment, the U.S. Border Patrol is rapidly losing situational awareness required to know who and what is entering our homeland. The ability of U.S. Border Patrol to detect and interdict those that want to evade apprehension is being degraded daily. Low-level, unsophisticated, and uneducated smugglers are illegally crossing the border and increasingly evading apprehension daily. To think that well-resourced terrorist networks, criminal organizations, and hostile nations are not doing the same is naive. The current situation is unsustainable and must be mitigated. So I've received the brief. I went to Del Rio in less than 1 week. I was actually there on Saturday at the peak, 15,000 people in what your department said yesterday, bum rushed the border. That was, and there's, by the way, 40 to 60,000 on the way. So is the quote true at a level we have never seen before, that terrorists, suspected terrorists, are entering this country at a level that we have never seen before?
Congressman, as I've previously articulated, I respectfully disagree with Mr. Scott's assertions. And I should say that assertion has no relationship to a reference to Del Rio and the fact that vulnerable Haitians have crossed the border there, have been encountered, and are being repatriated. Those are two very different.
It ties in because I talked to these Haitians. They got the word that Del Rio was open. They came. And in fact, I talked to 2 Cuban couples, 4 people total, from Cuba to Panama to the southern border in Del Rio, 40 hours. It took them 40 hours to get to our southern border because what they heard through social media, what they heard through their networks was that it was open. They paid thousands of dollars to trafficking organizations to get there. So to think, like Rodney Scott says, outgoing Border Patrol Chief for 29 years, 5 administrations, to think that well-resourced terrorist networks, criminal organizations, and hostile nations are not doing the same is naive. Mr. Secretary, why the American public deserves to know what the threat is to our country? Why will we not release numbers? Why are you not releasing the number of known or suspected terrorists that have entered this country?
Congressman, I've been very clear that I'd be very pleased to share that information with you in a classified context. Number one, I don't think that the vulnerable Haitians who are in Del Rio, Texas now would say that the border in Del Rio, Texas is open. And quite frankly, we've seen the heartbreaking pictures.
It's heartbreaking. I was there. I saw it.
Congressman, that reflect that fact.
And in fact, there's all sorts of bad things going on, but it's a drain on resources. We'd had to repurpose Border Patrol agents from their national security mission all along the southern border to Del Rio. The governor of Texas has had to step in because the federal government has abdicated the duty to protect our country. So
I respectfully disagree. We have never abdicated our duty to protect our country. As a matter of fact, The 250,000 men and women of this department work day and night
And they are
to
doing a
protect
phenomenal
this
job,
country.
Mr. Secretary. We are calling it as Texans and as Americans. We want to know how many known or suspected terrorists have entered this country. And I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes